G'day guys, welcome back to Supercoach with DR and welcome to my round two review. Hope you all had a ripping round yourselves this week. Look, for me, I certainly wouldn't call it a comeback round, nothing special, nothing to write home about, but if you compare it to my round one score, which was around 1850, then I'm absolutely chuffed. And that's pretty sad to say this week because 21-28 is actually a pretty underwhelming round score. Top 33%. Ouch, not happy with that. And if you look at my season rank, still absolutely in the dungeons, 76,112. There are still some holes in my side, but let's look at this from a glass half full approach. I did go up over 16,000 spots in the ranks. And let's be honest, the only way to go from where I'm currently ranked is up. And if I go down, then it's pretty much delete team territory, isn't it? The other thing that we need to focus on as well is the fact that we still have an opportunity to bring in some really, really good players before the first price rises. And many of you are going to be rapt to hear this news because, dead set, without exaggerating, I reckon I've got close to 200 messages over the last couple of weeks about the Supercoach Stock Market videos. So it will be back this week. We are bringing back the stockies for 2023. Only reason why it wasn't out last week was because obviously we wouldn't have seen any price changes. If you're new to the channel, this is by far the most popular videos that I produce on a weekly basis. I go through every relevant Supercoach player from every price range, from the premiums, mid prices, all the way down to the rookies. Check out their break even, look at their projections, and I give my advice, take it or leave it, on whether to hold, trade in, or trade out particular players. We've got some funny symbols there, lots of nicknames as well. I've actually reverted back to players' full names just for the first couple of weeks. Then I'll get back to the nicknames as well, just trying to help out maybe those people that are new to the channel, because for the first couple of weeks with the stockies, all the time I get like, who's Titch, who's this guy, who's that guy. But there is one player where the nickname will remain, and you can probably guess it. It is the Peanut. If you don't know who the Peanut is, you will find out very, very soon on this channel. But because I am producing the stocky this week and I'll go into lots of detail about every relevant player, I will try to keep this round review pretty short because it's not worth talking about every player now, because I will do that obviously in the stocky. So that's it for the intro, guys. Hope that you're all well. Let's see how this team is actually looking. Alrighty, let's get into it. As I said, I'll try to make this as quick as possible. If you look at my remaining salary, only 5,400 at the moment. A very slim bank balance, I know, but I promise we'll make some things happen this week. 34 trades left. Did use the 2 last week, and I just ended up doing what I said I would in my round review, and really happy with those trades as well. We'll talk about those 2 blokes when we get to the forward line. But let's start off in defence. Sam Doherty and Jordan Ridley, certainly underwhelming this week as compared to what they punched out in rounds 1. 73 from Doherty and a 70 from Ridley. Am I concerned with these two? Not overly. I've got much bigger problems in my side. I think what really hurts here is being a non-Nick Dacos owner. If you put Ridley's score and Doherty's score together, then you get what Nick Dacos got, basically. So that's been a killer for the first 2 weeks, but I'll certainly rectify that this week. And make sure, guys, if you have not got Nick Dacos in your side as of yet, if you're someone silly like me, make that your absolute #1 priority this week. He is a must-have. Get Nick Dacos in your side, but we'll talk about him when I get to my trade plans. Liam Jones, 76. If you trade him out, you're still probably happy, depending on who you traded in. If you went for someone like a Stocker or a Cole, you'd certainly be disappointed, in my opinion anyway, because remember, that 5 that he scored in round 1 will be out of his system after his first price rise. So a little bit of pain for that first one, but after that, if he goes, say, a 65 to 70 again this week, that'll be cherry ripe. He will definitely start to go up in price. They've got him projected for about a 37 to 40, I think, in the next couple of weeks, which, look, you may agree with that, you may not. I think he can go better than that, so I see him making money probably after round 4, which would be nice for us. Jimby, 76. I'm pretty sure he's close to leading the comp in tackles, this young man. What an absolute contested beast he is. Spent some time on Tommy Green as well. What a battle of 2 young big bodies. Green's obviously got a few more pre-seasons on him, but this bloke will be an absolute star. Bit of a man-child, but you couldn't have asked for much more from West Coast supporters' point of view or a Supercoach owner's point of view as well. So Ruben Jimby, 2 thumbs up. Absolutely fantastic selection for us on field. Con McKenna wasn't as terrific as what he was last week. He was a real shining light last week, but I think this week a lot of other players actually played their part, so he didn't need to do as much as what he did last week. 78, a really serviceable score, and again, I won't go as far as saying an absolute must-have, but he's very close to a must-have in my opinion. But you may have other things that you need to do, but really wrapped with him as a starting selection so far. Constable, the 67, disposal efficiency was up this week, sort of went in and out of the game. I thought he played okay. I hope that he keeps his spot. And look, again, if he goes around 60 to 70 for us, he'll make some good cash. That's all we really need him to do. Pepsi Max King this week, I expected a nicer score. I actually said to Spills probably around 60 to 70 is my guess, and he went with the 68. It's complicated as to why I actually put the emergency on Cowan. At the time, I didn't know if Constable would even be in the 22 after his performance in round one, mainly in regards to his disposal efficiency. So there was a lot to that. I had a big conversation with Spills about it, but it didn't matter in the end anyway because I didn't need any emergencies. I thought there was a pretty good chance that I might, but yeah, not this week. But Wilmot, obviously with Kitty Coleman out, he spent a little bit more time down back. What I really love about Motty is his hardness at the football. He kicks it regularly. His kick-to-handball ratio was phenomenal last week as well. And when he kicks it, he tends to kick it long and pretty much effective kicks if you get even to a 50-50 contest. So really wrapped with Motty, the Pepsi Max King. And Cowan, 51, yeah, again, that's okay. Think he probably holds his spot, but we can't expect much more from a rookie costing us 117k in our backline. But obviously the big man that I'm missing here is Dacos, and I will get him in this week. Midfield time. This man, well, oh God, he bounced back. He bounced back. I knew that he'd bounce back. If you trade him out, unless you got Nick Dacos in for him, you're probably pretty shattered. We selected and started this bloke for a reason. And after last week's performance, he knows that everyone's got him in Supercoach. When I say everyone, he knows that he's a popular selection in Supercoach. He knows that he was a high scorer last year. He's a proud man when it comes to fantasy, and he absolutely pigged out. So 147. I think he did get up to 150. Must have been scaled back a few points, but I'm not complaining after a 50 last week. He came out and went bang. I knew after the first quarter that this man was back. And yeah, if you trade him out, I'm not going to say it's bad luck because you made that decision yourself. And look, you could have split him into a Setterfield type, someone else that performed really well. You still may be happy, but yeah, it's probably frustrating that you are now missing out on a great VC or captaincy score. So we're up to have him in the side. He's definitely staying. But my man, Lachie Neale, well, I selected him because I thought he'd have a red hot start to the season, coming up against some tough opposition, but that didn't faze me too much. But after observing him for the last couple of weeks, it has fazed me. And unfortunately, I hate to say this because another reason why I selected him was because I really wanted to be able to support him as a Lions man myself, but he's got to make way. I think Lachie Neale has to make way this week. He's not the disposal pig that he once was. Look, it's only been a couple of weeks starter, I understand that, but it's like he was lacking a little bit of urgency at times this week, and certainly against Port Adelaide. Worrying signs for me. Is the captaincy playing on his mind? Is he worried about other players' performance, team structure? I'm really not too sure. I don't think he's sacrificing his game. It's a little bit hard to put my finger on, but disposal count right down. CBAs are fine. All that data is good. But for me, when I'm paying 675k plus for a player, and I've got an average of, 97.5 after the first 2 weeks, and there's an opportunity to bring someone in, a little bit of a restructure, obviously Nick Dacos I'm talking about here, save 175k, use that elsewhere to upgrade the side. I just think that that's a really, really smart move. So I hate to let him go because he'll certainly bounce back. He'll certainly bounce back and deliver some really great scores this year. And I still think he's very close to a top 8 midfielder. But this is the time to cut him, I think. I've had to do this, in the year that I traded him out for Jordan Ridley, where he wasn't a good starting pick. But frustrating. I said I'll move on quickly. So bye-bye, Lachie Neale. Yeah, hello, Nick Dacos. Obviously using some DPP. I will be quick, sorry. Bont, really nice with the 125. Not moving from my side. There was a little bit of conversation about who's a better starting selection? Is it Bont? Is it McRae? I was very, very big on Bont, and that's proven to be the case, which has been handy for me. One of the correct decisions that I made this preseason, one of the very few. Well, here's another one of the very few as well. Tom Green, 106. This is okay. Look, a lot of people actually captained him this week, which I think is a great move. I had him as my backup captain as well, but probably on reflection after that massive game last week, particularly in that heat. And look, it didn't look like it affected GWS near as much as it did with the Adelaide players, but you're thinking travelling all the way over to WA, coming up against West Coast, surely it must have taken him out of him with that travel and playing in the heat last week. So Tom Green with 106, I think is a pretty decent score, considering in hindsight what he actually did last week and what he would have to do this week to really meet expectations for a captaincy score. And it was basically the same with Cogs, wasn't it? 50 at quarter time. That was killing me. It was an absolute dagger. And then, geez, a great feeling as a non-owner that he slowed up anyway. But why am I talking about Cogs? Not even in my side. Jacob Hopper. This man bounced back in a big way. One of the best players on the ground. 119 points. Massively underwhelming with the 67. And I can understand why some people did trade him out, because you had the eye test for the third week in a row. You had the two pracky games, obviously round one last week, and he just looked slow, didn't he? He didn't look any good. But one thing that I suppose really, really got me over the line, and to be honest, I was never really contemplating trading someone like Jacob Hopper after 1 week, mainly due to his role and his scoring history as well. But it was the fact that the coach came out and said that some of his teammates actually burnt him last week, and they did talk about that as a group. So they were more actively looking for him this week, and that certainly showed on the disposal sheet as well. Contested possessions, tackled well, just looked like a different player this week. So if you did trade him out, that's really unfortunate. If you went up to someone like a Setterfield, that's all good. A Warple, he still did all right. But yeah, I'm really wrapped that I stuck fat with this man. And he's now got a really low break even and will make some good coin, I think. So 2 thumbs up, Jacob Hopper. Well done, mate. Sammy Flanders, geez, it's a frustrating pick. So basically in the second quarter, I think he had a pretty friendly role. You saw him in the defensive line, up forward, through the midfield as well. He was pretty much just following the ball around. Did get involved. At halftime, he was sitting on 42 Supercoach points. That means a 4-point second half. That means see you later, Sam Flanders. I was going to get him out for a Finn Callaghan, but I wasn't really comfortable making that sideways trade after one round. And I really didn't really rate Callaghan's role either moving forward. I thought maybe a bit of a sugar hit this week coming up against West Coast. We couldn't predict the injury. That really hurt. So a little bit lucky there. But at the end of the day, that was a decision that I made to hold off on that boost. Truly, yeah, well knowing that I would make one this week. I just didn't want to be too boosted down. So Flanders super disappointing, but out he goes. I probably should have known better. Ashcroft with 105. We're talking about a few bounce back players here. Hands up if you doubted him. Hands up if you traded him out or left him on your bench without being able to use him as an emergency. Look, I advised against it. I was so confident. This guy is an ultra professional. I'm not going to talk about him too much now. We'll leave that for the stock market video. But 31 disposals, game high contested possessions, or at least for Brisbane I know, and clearances as well with 9 from memory. Didn't tackle that much. I think it may have only been 1 or 2 on the night. So a little bit more meat on the bone there as well. But what a fantastic comeback performance from this proud young Jet. Wow. Just love him as a Brisbane supporter. Love him as a Supercoach selection. And don't make the same mistake. Look, he may give a lowish score here and there, but it is so much safer having him on field. We all will from now on. I doubt whether anyone after last week's performance is going to have him as the emergency again, at least without a loophole anyway. Mackenzie, CBA is a little bit down in this game. Only the 52 points, almost half of what he's done in the last 2 weeks, round one, obviously, in that Pracky game as well. But look, with rookies, you're going to get this. Just like Ashcroft last week, it was pretty much a switch up in regards to performance and Supercoach scoring, wasn't it? So that's okay. Again, I'm not disappointed and still really happy to play him on field. Baker, 55. Solid performance. I think he's their leading goal kicker at the moment, which is saying something. I think he's only kicked 2, mind you. Chesser, absolutely should go. I don't think I'll be able to do it. I can, but I'm probably going against that this week. I wish that I had have done it last week. That would have been a good boost, someone like Chester Chandler, but unfortunately I didn't. Dave with the 45. Don't know what happened to him in the second half because I think he was on at least 40 at half time. Again, first year rookie, these things happen. As a forward as well, this is what you're going to get. Oh man. Now we get to the rucks. Oh geez, it doesn't want me to, does it? Let's start with Rowan Marshall. Thank you, Rowan, for a big comeback this week. How did you score so poorly against Shrek last week? I'm not too sure, mate, but 129. What a fantastic performance. Very, very highly owned, and this is absolutely why. Fantastic pick, I think, for us this year. We were a little bit scared off, but remember that, man, I'm being contradictory here, that Shrek can be a very difficult opponent to come up against. But yeah, rap that Rowan had a big bounce back. 41 points from Shrek. This was an absolute train wreck, an absolute disaster. Should you trade him out? I certainly don't blame you. Am I going to trade him out? It's on the cards, but at this stage, it's a no for me. Everyone's in a different situation, so I've got plenty of other holes that I need to fix here. So I'm probably going against trading Darcy this week. There's another reason which I'll mention as well, but please keep in mind that we're all in different situations here. If he's one of your biggest blunders, get rid of him. Get rid of him. That is absolutely fine to do. I'm not against that per se, but in my situation, I'm going elsewhere. But this week, he's coming up against West Coast, and this is a big draw card for keeping him for at least one more week. Put it this way, if he can't score well against Bailey Williams and who was it, Jamison, whoever else is ruck relief, I'm not too sure who it is, an absolute nobody, no disrespect, but an absolute no-name when it comes to the big fellas in the ruck here, then he's going to be out of my side so quickly, it's not funny. A lot of things went against him last week, bit more time forward, obviously started with Luke Jackson, but in saying that as well, you've got to make your own luck. The dropped marks, the hitouts that just weren't to advantage. You look at the Gold Coast synergy that they've got in their midfield, Witts with Miller, Rao, Anderson, compared to Darcy with his midfield. You can't compare it. You can't compare it. Gold Coast are just all on the same page, where Freo seem just everywhere at the moment. There's just no connection, no cohesion there. From my eye test anyway. The stats may say differently, but from my eye test, there's just no cohesion there. But look, if he wasn't coming up against West Coast this week, I'd be really tempted to flip him. But we know that he's got a massive ceiling. If he just returns to that absolute number one ruck role, spends the majority of his time there, and things just go his way, more than what they did last week, then he can actually achieve a break even of around the 180. He can go a 150 plus. Depending on how my vice captain goes, if I'm having a really poor week, I may just risk it for the biscuit and actually slap the C on this bloke. If I'm that desperate to make a real pod move with my captain, then I will actually do that. So, yeah, I'm keeping him for this week. I'm trying to hold the faith, but if you want to get rid of him, absolutely go for it. No problems with that. Into the forward line. So, look, we had Dunkley, Rosie, Taranto, Goulden as my trade-in, and Sheasel, wow, we'll get to him in a sec as another trade-in. So, very close to the ton, all those blokes. Rosie with 92, Taranto with a 95. And then we've got Tanner Bruin, which I'll also get to. Get out of my side, Tanner. Get out of my side, Tanner. But Dunkley has been okay without being absolutely fantastic. Rosie, pretty much just cruising for the last couple of weeks. 90 to probably 110, 115 is where I see his average sort of lying at. I think it's closer to 105. But, yeah, he hasn't done a whole heap, so it may actually be a good sign that he hasn't actually stood out so far and still managed to score well. Tog may have been a little bit lower due to that knock that he had to come off the ground as well. Taranto, 95. That's fine as well. Look, Timmy's going to go between probably 95 to, or probably, let's say 90 to a 115, 120 most weeks, I think. He's a butcher. We know that. It's the same old story with him. We're pretty much going to be saying the same thing each week with Timmy. I think sometimes a little bit worse, sometimes a little bit better, but same story with Timmy. Errol, I brought him in this week. It was a mistake. Look, sometimes you got to swallow your pride. Admit that you're wrong. I was against starting him. But after the carnage with some of these mid prices, Fife in particular, he was my big draw card over Errol. It just didn't happen. And who knows if he was fit, what he could have done against North Melbourne this week. Probably not a whole lot, to be quite honest. So, yeah, I just jumped on Errol, and he's just fantastic, isn't he? So, with the crowd here, I feel so much safer now, so much safer. And with Sheasel as well, 114 Supercoach points, match what he did last week. Wow, this is fun, isn't it? This is fun. It was not fun the week before, not owning Errol and Harry, but what a super player he is. Jeez, he's impressive. I've said all along that Will is the rising star winner. This bloke is going to give him a run for his money. I'm not changing my selection. Will still got it in the bag, I think, but this bloke is going to make it very hard for him, put it that way. So, wow, what a massive, massive performance. Actually, well, who's a bigger priority here? Sheasel or Dacos? It's probably Sheasel at the price, isn't it? You got to get them both. Look, everyone's got a boost. You'll at least have 4 left, even if you used one last week. If you don't have Dacos or Sheasel, please get them both in. Nothing more needs to be said there. And back to Bruin, he is such an easy trade out. The easiest trade out, I think, that I've ever had. Things just haven't worked with him. I'm not going to get into why. We all know there's been enough commentary by now. The only enjoyable thing this week about owning Bruin is the fact that I didn't actually have to watch him play. I decided to go to the Cypress Hill and Ice Cube concert instead. I tell you what, you walk in the smoke, old mate next to me, yeah, mate, I'm right, mate, thanks anyway type thing. But I tell you what a great decision that was. If I'd have watched this game, I would have been tearing my hair out. Got to the point, it was around 3/4 time, I reckon. Looked at the time, I'm like, oh, geez, I'm going to take a sneaky look at the scores. Just a sneaky look. Looked at Tanner's score, thought, you're absolutely joking me here. Went to the guy beside me again. Hey, mate, actually, pass that to the left. Pass that to the left, my friend. Didn't really. But I tell you what, oh, man, this just has not worked, this pick, and I cannot trade him out quick enough. Radically 31. The main objective here was to get some ruck cover, but look, a 43 average. Look, it's okay. I suppose it's better than a donut. 43 points, particularly if you're in a position like me at the moment. 43 points, is pretty decent just to bring on if you need to. But yeah, pretty disappointing there. All we need is a couple of spike games and then we can move him on. It's up to you. You may just want to keep him there for the whole year's cover if you need it. And Green with a 49. This could have been close to a 70-80 type score. He just did not kick straight. I think he had 4 or 5 points at the end of the day. So, look, it could have been close to a triple-figure score. Who knows? But 49 from Green is okay. And at least he's getting the opportunities. That's a really good sign. Got good job security. I'm absolutely mincing my words here. Got good job security, so that's all good for us. But I'm absolutely spewing that I don't have, just say, a Chandler here in his place. But look, and another thing I'm going to mention, now that I'm going to get into my trades, quickly going back to Shrek here, what's super disappointing, and you can go back and check all of my preseason videos when I've talked about the Rucks, when we did the Collingwood team review, my team updates, it was all about Darcy Cameron as my R2. I was just so big on starting Darcy Cameron this year, but I was just scared off with those injury concerns, and I probably listened to too many other people that were really, really trashing the pick. And again, you've got to own your own decisions. And I'm spewing that I didn't go there because all I wanted to do this year in the Rucks was select an R1 and then go with a placeholder. That's what I really wanted to do. I thought that's the best strategy this year. And it has been, because if you had gone with Darcy Cameron, who was obviously that guy, then you've scored really, really well. Max Gawn now has gone down. You're going to get him a lot cheaper. You're going to get Shrek a lot cheaper as well if you do want to jump on the train, if you show some form. So it would open up so many opportunities, particularly that DPP. Super, super frustrating. But let's quickly get to these trades. I've gone over again. Sorry, guys. I absolutely rambled on. I tried to be really basic there as well, so apologies for that. All right, so we're going to use the magic of DPP. Lockie Neal is the premium that has to go for me this week. Now, I'm going to go straight down here. Sorry, I should have gone Bruin first because I've been waiting to do that for the last 2 weeks now. Bruin's got to go. And look, do you go Radical Area? Green top hasn't been great. Chesser is the bloke that I would love to trade out. I really, really would. But to make my trades happen this week, I do need some more cash, which is why it's going to be Sammy Flanders. And Sammy Flanders, I think, is also a really good trade out as well. So, how are we going to bring Dacos in? This is the beauty of having DPP and so many of these defensive mid-rookies to select from this year. So what I'm going to do is just say bring a Jinbi into, where am I? The midfield there. And then we're going to go back into our defensive line and bring in Mr. Dacos. Oh, there he is, third anyway. Nick Dacos. Beautiful, easy done. Just an absolute no-brainer when it comes to a trade-in. Now, these other two, there's a few options, isn't there? There are a few options. I've got 746 at the moment, so what I could do was bring Chandler in. That would give me still over 600k to play with, and I could bring in a number of premiums on a number of different lines. I'm not actually going to go that way, and I'm going to decide to split it. This may be a bad decision, but there aren't too many other premiums that I'm massive on, apart from LDU, and I wasn't really ever huge on him, even in the pre-season. The smart thing to do here would probably be to go, let's just say in the midfield, we go LDU, and then in the forward line, we go with Chandler. So bring him in, let's just see what happens there. Chandler. So I'd have 65k in the bank, and I think they're all really solid trades. I don't really have a massive change in structure, do I really, in regards to my midfield, because I'm bringing LDU in for Lockie Neal, but I'm obviously bringing extra premium down back in Dacos. And then, where are we up forward? The only issue is that it's going to be Chandler, Radaglia on field each week. And with what Chandler's done, that's probably okay. Both got super low break-evens, but at this stage, I'm not going that way. Now, this is a little bit risky, but I think if you look for break-evens, you know, this bloke, Will Setterfield, he's got a break-even well in the minuses, I think around minus 40 something. Again, stay tuned for the stock market. We'll have a big conversation about Will Setterfield. But the only concern I've got with this pick, and it's the only concern after 2 weeks of data, is the fact that apparently he was icing up, was it his calf or something, or his quad at the end of last week. So slight concerns there with a pretty quick turnaround. But if he's fit and firing, he's close to a must-have, because he's going to make 100, in my opinion, 150k pretty quickly. And that massive score that he had last week will be in his price cycle for 2 weeks. Unlike players round one score, only for the 1 week, this will be in for the 2 weeks. So I think that I do have to jump on him. And that leaves me with 398k. So in the forward line, we're going to go with this man, Jack Zeeble. So 42k in the bank. I think this is probably the right selection. I can't go up to a Darcy Cameron. That would be another option instead of going an LDU, for example. I could just say go Radaglia up to him, just move him on. But I think with Jack Zeeble, there's a couple of things that I like about this pick. We've seen data with him in this position, and we know how well he scored. I don't expect a massive, massive average like we saw back in that year, but even if he's 5 points down off that average, it's still a fantastic average for the price, and it's pretty much premium stuff that we're talking here. He will be guaranteed DPP status during the first DPP changes, as will his friend here, if he continues in the same role. And Clarko, I think, would be mad, and we know how how great Clarko is to move him. So, yeah, these two blokes here, I am pretty much locking in to get DPP very much early on, and I'm just really keen to get one of them into my defensive line, and then I've got an automatic swing there as well. I've really shored things up with the Dacos pick there as well. So Doherty, Ridley, Dacos, I think these blokes are fine to have on field, but just having a Sheasel or a Zeeble back there, I think will give me a lot more stability. So that's another attraction to the Zeeble pick. Look, Who else can we go sort of in the midfield here? Well, James Warple was another bloke that I think will give you a consistent 90 plus type average. Probably worried about his ceiling. That's the only difference, I think, compared to someone like a Setterfield. His ceiling, well, we saw 147, didn't we, on the weekend, which is Rory Laird numbers. That is absolutely crazy. Now, I'm not saying get used to 140 pluses from Will Setterfield, but we can probably get used to 100 plus from him. 123 from average is just phenomenal. So I'm really happy with that selection. Callahan, you can't go. There's not too many premiums that I'm keen to bring in. Cogs, he's already played against some weak opposition for the first couple of weeks. We know that he's got a great run, but it was probably last week where you're really keen for that West Coast game. This week you can certainly do it if you want, but not really for me. I'm not overly keen on doing that. Chandler is probably the big one. I'll just complete these trades. So there we go. So Neil, Bruin and Flanders for Dacos, Siebel and Setterfield. It's probably a premium for a premium and then a couple of mid-prices for a couple of mid-prices. Some people wouldn't like this split and you'd say, no, make sure that you upgrade your side, get as many keepers in early as you can. Yeah, I'm not getting 2 keepers here like many other coaches would choose to do. But what I'm trying to do here is get a couple of blokes that are going to do 2 jobs for me. Give me some really, really nice on-field points, close to premium numbers, at least for a little while anyway, and make me at least 150k so I can move them on to premiums if I choose to do so. I certainly think I will with Setterfield, just given the quality that we have in the midfield. But who knows with Jack Zeeble? Who knows with Jack Zeeble? He could actually be a keeper down back. So maybe I'm getting 2 keepers. Who knows? But it's that added DPP that I really like as well with Jack. So we don't have that DPP at the moment, and I know I'm predicting the future here, but that swing with Shees will be really, really handy. So the new team, 5 trades down and a boost, which I'm more than unhappy about, but I feel so much better about the team that I now have. It's not great, and I'm probably a couple of moves down on what I'd like to be able to do. I'd love to maybe have a Warple there, definitely have a Chandler in, but it is what it is. You can't have everyone. But I've got Doherty, Ridley and Dacos, pretty happy there. Jones, McKenna and Constable, Wilmot and Cowan on the bench. Laird, Bont, Green as the 3 premium type picks there. Again, super happy with them. Setterfield, Hopper as those mid-price options. I think they're going to be 2 really solid selections. Ashcroft, McKenzie and Jinby, all really solid on-field options. Baker, yeah, okay, he'll make money. Davey will make money as well, albeit at possibly a slow rate. This is the bloke that really concerns me here. He's pretty much going to start and then be a sub, or start as a sub, or not play. I'd pretty much at this stage prefer him to not play so I could use him as a loophole if I need him to. So super unfortunate there. I may just jump on another rookie before the bubble. Darcy and Marshall, yeah, again, not wrapped with Shrek. If he underperforms this week, DCAM in is a real possibility. I know it'll probably be a 100k difference after everything's said and done next week if he does underperform. But sometimes you've got to pull the trigger, work out how I'm going to do that. And then forward line, I'm super happy with at the moment. I'm really, really happy with this forward line. Dunkley, Rosie, Taranto, Goulden, Zeeble, Sheasel, super on-field options there and reliable options as well. Then Radaglia and Green on the bench. Not super reliable, but okay at the end of the day. So that is the team at the moment. And looking for some possible future trades, Jack Bowes. Jack Bowes, after his performance in round 1, we may need to find a way to bring him into our sides if he goes 90 plus next week. So I have actually included him in the stock market video. I've broken my rules and gone with a player that's only played the 1 match, but that's all good. And that's pretty much the team, guys. That is how we are looking. So let me know what you think about my trades. Would you go through them? Would you bring in someone different? Would you be prioritizing someone like a Cade Chandler? Let me know. I really, really do appreciate your feedback. Tomorrow night, we are going to get together to record the Supercoach Swordplay podcast. And hopefully as well, by tomorrow night, I will have the first Supercoach Stock Market video uploaded for 2023. This will be the biggest one of the season. just before the first price changes. So I think it's going to be an absolute must watch. I'll go through every relevant Supercoach player from every line, from every price point, just to make sure I do cover everyone that you're interested in. Maybe if you're looking at a pod, make sure that you leave their name down there below in the comment section, and I will make sure that I cover that player as well, just in case I may have been skipping them. So apart from that, guys, take care. Hope all is well. I don't love my team, but I think it's certainly improved from what I started with anyway. If you've had a down season to date, jump back on the horse, use a boost this week, do what you got to do, and set yourself up for at least a potentially solid finish this season anyway. So that's it for now, guys. Cheers. Hope you're all well, and I'll see you soon for the Stocky. Take care. Bye.